Ever stared at a Venmo check and wondered, wait, how much of my hard-earned cash can I actually move with this thing? You're not alone. I mean, we live in a world where digital transactions are king, but sometimes a good old paper check still comes in handy, right? But with Venmo, it's not quite the same as writing a check from your traditional bank account. There are limits, there are considerations, and frankly, it can be a little confusing. Think about it. You've got rent to pay, maybe you're splitting a big group dinner, or you need to cover a hefty repair bill. You're thinking, Venmo check, that's perfect. But then the nagging question hits you, can you actually send the full amount you need? Or are you going to hit some kind of digital brick wall? See, Venmo, despite being this super convenient app for splitting bills and sending money to friends, operates within a specific framework. It's not a bank in the traditional sense. It's a payment service. And that difference matters when we talk about checks. Let's rewind for a second. Why are we even talking about Venmo checks? Well, they're a relatively new feature designed to bridge that gap between the digital and physical worlds. Venmo introduced them to offer users more flexibility. You can use them to pay someone who doesn't necessarily have a Venmo account, or maybe they just prefer a physical check. It's supposed to be about convenience, but the limits can throw a wrench in those plans. Now, before we dive into the numbers, let's get one thing straight. Venmo checks aren't directly linked to your bank account's balance in the same way a traditional checkbook is. They're tied to your Venmo balance. And that balance is fueled by funds you've transferred into Venmo, or money you've received from other users. This distinction is crucial. So, the big question, how much can you actually send? The answer, as with many things in the financial world, is, it depends. Venmo has set a limit on the amount you can send via a check. Currently, you're looking at a maximum of $2,500 per check. That's a fixed number. But, here's the catch, that $2,500 limit is also subject to your overall Venmo sending limits. What are those, you ask? Well, Venmo has different sending limits for verified and unverified accounts. Verification involves confirming your identity by providing certain information, like your social security number. If you're unverified, your weekly sending limit is significantly lower. We're talking a few $100s. This means that even if you want to send a $2,500 check, you might not be able to if your weekly limit is lower. And here's where things get a bit more complex. These limits are not just for checks. They apply to your overall sending activity on Venmo, including direct transfers to other users. So, if you've already sent a bunch of money to friends throughout the week, your check sending capacity might be further reduced. It's like having a bucket with a limited capacity. You can pour money in via transfers, and you can take money out via checks or direct payments. But once that bucket is full, or once you hit the limit, you're stuck. Now, let's break down some practical scenarios. Imagine you're splitting rent with roommates. The total is $3,000. You're thinking, great, I'll just write a Venmo check. But hold on. Because of the $2,500 limit, you'll need to find another way to cover that extra $500. Maybe you'll need to combine the Venmo check with a direct transfer, or even use another payment method entirely. Or, let's say you're buying a used car from someone. The price is $2,000. Perfect, right? You can write a Venmo check. But again, you need to consider your weekly sending limit. If you've already sent a significant amount through Venmo that week, you might find yourself hitting a wall. And then there's the processing time. Venmo checks aren't instant. Just like traditional checks, they take time to process. The recipient will need to deposit the check, and it might take a few business days for the funds to become available. This is crucial to keep in mind if you need the money to move quickly. So, what are the key takeaways here? $2,500 is the maximum amount you can send via a Venmo check. This limit is subject to your overall Venmo sending limits. Verification matters. Unverified accounts have significantly lower limits. Processing time is not instant. Venmo checks are tied to your Venmo balance, not your bank account balance. Now, you might be wondering, okay, how do I increase my sending limits? The answer is simple: verify your account. Venmo requires you to provide your full legal name, date of birth, and social security number. This information is used to verify your identity and help prevent fraud. Once you're verified, your sending limits will increase, giving you more flexibility. But remember, even with verification, the $2,500 check limit still applies. And here's another point to consider: Venmo checks aren't free. There are fees associated with them. Venmo charges a fee for issuing a check, and you might also encounter fees from your bank or the recipient's bank when depositing the check. It's always good to be aware of these potential costs. So, when should you actually use a Venmo check? They're ideal for situations where you need to send money to someone who doesn't have Venmo or prefers a physical check. They're also useful for larger transactions, up to that $2,500 limit, where a direct transfer might not be feasible. However, they're not ideal for urgent transactions or situations where you need to send more than $2,500. In those cases, you might want to consider alternative payment methods, like a wire transfer or a cashier's check. Ultimately, understanding the limitations of Venmo checks is crucial for making informed financial decisions. It's about knowing the rules of the game, so you can play it effectively. Don't just assume that because you have a Venmo account, you can send any amount of money at any time. Take a moment to check your sending limits, understand the fees, and consider the processing time. And remember, Venmo is constantly evolving. Their policies and limits can change. So, it's always a good idea to check their official website or app for the latest information. In summary, while Venmo checks offer a convenient way to bridge the gap between digital and physical transactions, they come with limitations. The $2,500 limit, combined with your overall sending limits, means you need to plan your transactions carefully. Verification is key to maximizing your sending capacity, and understanding the fees and processing time is essential. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.